Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Alright, we have a question today that came in from Bill Godfrey from Meridian, Mississippi. And Bill says, I have a friend who has had to temporarily quit playing golf due to tendonitis in his left elbow, but he's hoping to start again in the spring. I know your swing is easy on the back, but I was wondering if it would help my friend with his elbow problem. What are your thoughts on this problem and using your swing? Thank you for your reply. Bill Godfrey again from Meridian, Mississippi. Okay, Bill, I'm going to talk about a couple of different issues here with this and say that yes, I think it can help. Right now, one of the worst things I see as far as that I think it's going to hurt an elbow, swing-wise, and I'm going to wrap this up with, at some point in the middle here, talk about something we can do that'll help us out in another way, okay, is that I see a lot of golfers getting in here and they taking the concept of keep a straight left arm, they're taking it too far, where they're actually straightening it up. Now again, as you can see here, I believe that we just hold the arm naturally. I always say, like, put your hand out like you're going to shake hands with somebody. All right? Now, when we shake hands with somebody, and I'd say, like, maybe somebody laying on the ground, you're going to shake hands, or you're going to put your arm down and to put them in there, and then lift them up, help them stand up, right? So, you know, like you see sometimes these football players, they help their teammates up by pulling them up when the guy's on the ground. Now, when you do that, when you shake hands, or you're going to lift somebody up, you're never going to put your arm down and lock your elbow where it actually arches upward. It arches upward and hyperextends, so that and you see when you do that, notice if I got my arm in this hand and I do that, when that arches up, it also tightens up your shoulder and lifts it up and actually pulls it inward towards your neck, and it takes you from a normal position and raises your hands up too high and puts an arch in your wrist. So your whole arm is everything in your arm, right up to your neck and shoulders, are now pulled out of balance. And it's pretty difficult from that position to take the club back until and as you start to lift here, it's tremendous stress put on the joints. Okay? So the first thing I would say is that to make sure that he's got a good grip, he's squeezing upward on the fingertips, both in the grip pressure, both hands are equal. You squeeze up, and you're just standing here with a normal position. And when you squeeze your fingers, the key is when you squeeze up, it firms up the fingers, the palms, the wrist, and your forearm. But I always say you don't want it ever to reach the elbow. When I firm up my forearm, it's firmed up to just right below the elbow, to right here. I firm up to right there at that point. And so, like, imagine like if you're gonna hit somebody backhand like this, you're not gonna lock your elbow to do it. You're not gonna get your arm up here and lock it down, because by then, as soon as you locked it, as I said, you get all the arching and everything else. You've tightened everything, and you've lost motion. You've lost the ability to speed up and get your arm to fire. All right. So that's the same thing we want with this grip. Okay. So when you never get into a locked position, you firm it up, and the key is that when you squeeze both arms, you squeeze only to the forearm to just below the elbow. You never let the pressure, the muscle tone reach the elbow where it's going to start tightening, and especially not arching or locking, hyperextending. Okay? So we always want that. When you keep that position, we can have a little bit of flexation at the elbow, right? We can have a little bit of flexation, but we never want bending or breaking. And so we got to find that happy medium between that arm having a little relatively straight, a little flexation, never breaking, but on the other side not being too straight, where you're up here like this and it's locked down. And boy, that not only will cause elbow problems, but it can also start giving you tremendous problems in the shoulder. All right. One of the next best things you can do, and I'm going over here to my bag. I'm going into my side pocket, and I'm going to pull out my wristband. All right. Now this is a wristband. This has been in my bag now for like over 20 years. I got this years and years ago when I first got to Harbortown, when the trailers were first coming out on tour. And I went in, talked to one of the guys. I got to know him pretty good because I was asking questions about the swing. I was already into my thoughts about learning about the golf swing, the body and everything involved. And I started talking to one of them. His name was Rob. And I said, you know, every now and then my elbow hurts me now and then. And so he gave me this one. And this one is actually like a neoprene. And he said these are the best to do whenever you got wrist problems or especially elbow problems, because this neoprene holds the heat in, and that keeps the muscles warm. And he said, and the other thing is that when you find it, fit it as firmly as you can get it, that you don't feel like your blood is being stopped from flowing, and that you're not going to, you know, start turning your knuckles white, and that holds the muscles more firmly together, and so without them moving around and everything else, it reduces the chances of them being overused and maybe even tearing or something. All right, and I use this off and on every now and then on the elbow. Occasionally, every now and then, if my wrist hurts me, I'll do that. And but for the most part, if I'm going to use it, it's always here. These are great. All right, and try to get one that you can feel when you get done. You take it off, you can feel it's wet and sweaty, because that means it held the heat in, which is good. So these are good. Now, another thing that I do is my elbow has almost very rarely ever hurt me, except that I have an issue where when I used to practice a lot years ago, and if I was on a range quite a while and I'm hitting irons and working my way up to the driver, no elbow problems. But I've had for my entire playing career, and I'm still using the same length driver, 43 inches that I used back, because 43 was standard length back in the 60s when I started playing golf. I'm still using the same length, but if I started to hit more than about 15 to 20 drivers in a row, my elbow would always stop pulsating. All right? And so I could stand there and hit 100 3-woods, no problem. But I think it's just going to that extra inch or so longer club with a bigger head just gave me enough torque and enough muscle movement down there or whatever. It's just the speed, the weight, the forces just put enough strain on my elbows that once I hit more than about 15 drivers, I'd be toast. My elbow would stop. My elbow would start to ache, and I shut it right down. So fortunately, I've been blessed with being a very, very really, really exceptional driver in terms of accuracy, and so I never have to hit that many drivers. But every now and then when I was getting out, that would happen. So sometimes if your elbow just tends to start hurting you, start seeing if maybe as you get to your longer clubs, too much practicing with your longer clubs will give it to you. Okay? And if that's the case, then you need to let off on it. All right? Now the last one I want to talk about is another thing that I use. I wear copper bracelets. This is one right here. I have a number of copper bracelets. I have some that are all copper, and I have some that have some magnets in it. All right. So when I knew this was coming, I went up and I looked up copper bracelets. And I just Googled copper bracelets, and this is what came up. Copper is a timeless healing metal. Again, copper is a timeless healing metal. A variety of ancient peoples fashioned jewelry out of copper with the belief that its natural ability to conduct heat. There's that word again, heat, that I mentioned about with the wristband and the elbow band, which I use a wristband and it expands big enough for your elbow. It conducts heat and can also contribute to the conduction of healing energies. In a magnetic bracelet, copper and magnets work together harmoniously to produce a therapeutic effect, making copper bracelets one of the most popular magnetic bracelet styles. Along here they say that this company that I took it from, their bracelets are made from 99% pure copper and feature magnets that are north-facing for optimal effects. Today, copper is used in the treatment of everything from inflammation to sore joints, and copper bracelets help us harness the healing power of copper. I looked up another one. Oh, and by the way, this one also said, please note, copper oxidizing into the skin will leave a slight green hue that is easily washed off with soap and water. All right, especially in the summertime when it gets hot and you're sweating, when you take your copper bracelet off, you're going to have one heck of a big green mark around there. All right, but you know what? I don't care about green if my elbow's been hurting me a little bit and it doesn't hurt me anymore. All right, and I'll just wear this when it's finally completely gone. I'll take it off. So I might go months and months and months without ever putting on a copper bracelet, or even having to use my wrist and elbow band. Okay. The second one said, I took up another one and said, for hundreds of years, people have worn pure copper bracelets, copper anklets, copper rings, and other copper items to experience the health benefits of copper jewelry, which helps to relieve joint pain caused by tendonitis and arthritis. Thousands of people like me enjoy the benefits of copper bracelets. Try it for yourself, but that's another thing. But I do, that was one of their sales pitches, I guess, but I do wear copper now and then. I haven't worn them for a long time, but as I said, I always keep this in my bag. It never leaves. All right, so try copper bracelets and see if that helps. But the big thing is in most cases it's caused by improperly swinging the golf club, gripping it, the club, having the improper left elbow position at address, and if you maintain it too stiff, too straight through the whole swing, that is the major cause. finally, the last other big cause, which can give us wrist problems and elbow problems, is the concept of hitting down on the ball, right? You know that as surgites, we believe in the statement of we're going to nip the ball, pinch it off the ground, tear the grass out of the ground. As Mo Norman once said, we want to take bacon strips, not pork chops, for divots, okay? So we want the club kind of ricocheting off the ground. We don't want to come down digging, because hitting down usually implies you're getting ahead of the ball and you hit down on it. All right? We just want it from here. We swing up to the tee finish. And when you swing up to the tee finish and you're thinking just nipping it, you're going to have that club actually bouncing and ricocheting off the ground, which will help keep the speed going through the ball. As compared to hitting down, is going to absolutely slow it down if you start going deep, right? And then at some point, the club can twist in your hand, the face can twist, which can affect direction, and you're going to be sending those shock waves up your arm, which can hurt the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, and all the way up to the shoulders and neck. So we want to have those glancing divots. All right, and that's all just in many cases just a matter of just changing your thoughts about impact from hitting down to swinging up to the tee finish with nipping it. In fact, on one of my tapes, working the ball or situational shots, I hit a ball off a cart path, and that's not a bad deal. You just nipped it right off the cart path, it's bouncing right off of it. So changing your thought about impact is also a good way to help avoid the elbow problems. So we gave you a lot of thoughts here about helping your friend Bill to when he comes back to not have his elbows problems again. But that works for all of us. So to make sure we can play better golf, let's do all the things that can keep our elbows, fingers, hands, necks, shoulders, everything in line, in good shape. And couple tips here on how to help it if they do start hurting. But ultimately, start laying off. And if it's a consistent problem, you need to go see a doctor. All right, and check out what's wrong. But ultimately, if it just starts hurting, take it easy. Start using the wristband, the elbow band, the copper bracelets or whatever, and make sure that you're gripping the club and your arms are working properly in the swing. And you start hitting a more consistently solid straight without pain, so you really enjoy shooting those lower scores. That's it for the Surge for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.